See you, Daddy.
No, it should have been. Well, that's close to that. It's always going to be.
I know, I want to be was such a.
This is what they want.
I
Well, you know, I have insurance. It's still not. That's part of this whole industry is finding the insurance, even for entities. I'm not joking. I mean, they're entirely so I'm used to vacation.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, problems manifested themselves as much yeah, I mean, I would typically say
okay, so we're 7 o'clock. We'll start the meeting. You can call the roll.
Mr. Barker.
Here.
Mr. Farley.
Here.
Mr. Cruz.
Here.
Dr. Houghton.
Here.
Ms. Ray.
Here.
Mr. Rich. Mayor Goodwin.
Here. You said Mr. Rich was not feeling well. Okay. That's just for the record. So we'll have the invocation by Councilmember Ray, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led this evening by one of our young folks. Now, I'll step down here with me, Mr. Mac Raleigh. So, Mac, you step up here with me for a second. We'll have the invocation, have the prayer, then we'll do the pledge.
Beginnings can be delicate or explosive. They can start almost invisibly or arrive with a bang. As we gather for our first council meeting of the new year, let us be grateful for the new beginning. Let us start another year serving each other and our community with courage and daring leadership, thoughtful of who we are to ourselves and to others, mindful that our steps make an impact and our words carry power. Our most serious duty is to look to the community we share and make decisions with courageous and noble intentions. Continue to keep our public safety, public works, city staff, and all who need more in your hearts and thoughts.
Anytime you get ready, yeah. Watch here. Can you see the flag? Step over this way a little bit. There you go. All right, ready?
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. It's hard to believe that Mac is this big. It used to be this big, and that wasn't but just a year ago. I don't understand how he grew up so much. I don't get to sit down yet. We move right into the mayor's comments, and the first comment is, Cliff, step up for me, please, sir. I was thinking. So, this was 100 years ago. Yeah. So we went around to present this plaque, they come off the old, what was it, 1102?
Is it 1102? Yes, sir.
White fire truck that y'all, many of y'all seen around the place since 1991.
Yep.
And you had to put up with Bob Linville back then, man, what a deal.
We did.
So having to put up with him, having to put up with me, Assistant Fire Chief Harvey, who present you this plaque. Can't think of anybody else that it would mean any more to unless it was your other buddy, Brian. But,
yeah.
Congratulations and thanks for so many years of service.
Yes, sir.
You've been doing this for how long, man?
Well,
Since you was 5?
well, yeah, actually, I started out with Folly Beach, of course, and then I became a firefighter with volunteer with James Island Fire Department back in the middle '60s. But Folly Beach, I've been on the roster since '67, so
Yeah.
it's been a few years.
You was only 4, you wasn't 5.
That's right. But a lot of people don't have to understand that this plaque to me meant so much because of all the people that served Folly Beach in this vehicle, or vehicles, because we had 2. And this one is no different than the other. They were sister for other trucks, but the people that served on this truck or with these trucks are serving the citizens of Folly Beach with this equipment is what makes this plaque so meaningful to me. And whenever I was told that it was a possibility I could get it, I was so grateful because, like I say, it's so much memories to me and means so much. But I just want to thank y'all so very much of allowing me to be a part, and still a part, because the firefighters and the members of the department still look at me as still a member of the department, even though my services are very limited at what I can do. But I just enjoy being with the guys. It's just a brotherhood with brothers and sisters that no one can understand unless you've been in it. But I thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for all every once in a while you get to do something that's fun. Johnny, it's always good to see you too.
Always good to see you, Barry.
Are you gonna take time to eat now, or?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good, good.
Hey, I can't afford Disney World, but I can take you to Rita's.
Okay. All right, so we move along to staff reports. Mr. Pope, you're up.
So first up is a proposed amendment to an ordinance we just adopted pretty recently. This is our restroom requirements for outdoor retailers. This is pretty squarely an error on my part. A couple months ago, we voted on ordinances 2421 and ordinances 2321 that had very similar subject matters. So after the meeting, I made the amendment and we later voted on it. But the wording I used matched the discussion for ordinance 2321, not ordinance 2421. I've got the time marks for the meeting minutes in there in case anyone wants to listen to them. But the short version is that after much discussion, ordinance 2421 should have been amended to have the exact recommendation of the planning commission, which is if the property has more than 2 vendors, there should be at least 2 restroom facilities. As written and as adopted, it's 1 restroom for each 2 vendors. Those are slightly different requirements. So this is larger than the Scrivener's error, so we need now to go back and get 2 more readings to the amendment to the amendment. We'll be remanding that to the planning commission because of timing. That would have a public hearing in March and come back in April.
Worthy of note, this is the only known error Aaron has made in his first year plus of being in this role.
Thank you for saying no.
We haven't discovered the other one yet.
Item B, is about the Bowens Island sign. Katie has done a lot of hard work and a lot of back and forth with the property owners at Bowens Island to propose a memorandum of agreement to allow their existing non-conforming sign in the marsh to move up to high ground. And this is an alternate proposal, that kind of ties back to the very original discussions in late 2018 when we were adopting that ordinance. When the rule came out to formally codify our prohibition against signs on the marsh, there was a lot of discussion about exempting historic signs. It wasn't resolved, and so the ordinance passed, and the Bowens Island sign was captured in that prohibition, and so it's been basically non-conforming since late 2019. Technically, it should have been removed in 2019. Some things happened, and then COVID happened, and so when we came back to do enforcement, we were working out a way to save that sign. As you guys know, you've seen it probably on 5 or 6 city council agendas at this point. The MOU looked good on paper, seemed good in concept, but as we got into the details of perpetual maintenance, tree removal, rights of replacement, that sort of thing, a lot more detail came up. And so a simpler, kind of more elegant solution is to go back to the roots of the discussion and just exempt the sign. Bowens Island Restaurant, probably one of the oldest continuing operating businesses. It pre-existed its annexation into the city. That sign pre-existed the annexation into the city. And so this would create a very narrow exemption for any sign in the marsh. It's been there for more than 25 years. There's only one of them. It is Bowens Island. It would allow it to continue as a non-conformity, which means it stays there as is. They can repair it. They can maintain it. It couldn't be taken down and replaced. And if the storm comes and takes care of it, it couldn't be put back. It's basically saying this sign, where it is as is with normal repairs and maintenance, is good forever until it goes away, either on purpose or through an act of God. So that's I believe that ordinance is in your package.
And, yeah, the owners are fine with this.
One benefit is it would remove easements, rights, encumbrances on the city property at Bowens Island Road that would stay free of any consideration of the sign in the future. In case we ever need to use it, we wouldn't have to work around the sign.
Okay. Any questions? All right, we'll move on to approval of the agenda. I will say we'll make one correction to the agenda, or removal of D, resolution 01-22. We'll move it to the agenda. For the study, we don't need this, so there's no need to leave it there. I have a motion to remove resolution -01-22. I have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? You have to call roll on that.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
Yes.
motion passes.
So back to the agenda as amended. Any other amendments?
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
Yes. Approval of previous minutes from December the 14th. Motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections or additions?
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
Yes. Okay, so we'll move on to personal appearances. We have one this evening from Stout. So you have 5 minutes. It sounds almost like a song. Just give us your name and address and for the record.
Hi, good evening. My name is Patricia Stout. My address is 1733 East Ashley Avenue. and I'd like to thank you all for inviting me to speak tonight. I moved here from Southern California, where I raised my twin daughters and worked as a corporate lawyer. For me, living in Folly, walking my dog on the beach, and enjoying the town is like a little slice of heaven. It's an amazingly beautiful location. I'm down almost at the very end by the lighthouse. I'd like to speak with you about the requirements for dogs to be off leash on Folly Beach. This is specified in Folly Beach Code of Ordinances, section 9508B, and the text of this ordinance is in my presentation. In reading the ordinance and learning about the Fido Club, I have a couple of comments, such as whether the Fido Club is the creation of an agency by the City Council under the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances, section 33.001 or 33.003. I know that City of Folly Beach does not manage the Fido Club, but the Fido Club is a private club that determines whether the Folly Beach residents may or may not have their dogs off leash on the public beach of Folly. I've learned from some of the materials that are noted in your handout, such as exhibits 2 and 3, the admission requirements for the Fido Club. I understand that admission to the Fido Club requires a nominal fee, licensing of the dogs by the city with an updated rabies, signing the Fido membership application and agreement to comply with the Fido Club bylaws, and then meeting with and having one's membership approved by the Fido Club president. I've also learned a bit about governance and authority for the Fido Club, that the individual members may vote in Fido elections. I'm not sure what that means though. The board elects its president, vice president, and membership coordinator/treasurer, with the bylaws suggesting that the board consists of these 3 officers. As I said, the president determines membership, the board may revoke his membership, and the board may fine members dollar amounts. It seems to me, learning these things, that the Fido Club is a private club acting on behalf of the city of Folly Beach. I've learned that they have not been admitting new members, so all eligible residents of Folly Beach do not have the same rights to use the public beach as members of the private Fido Club. Membership has been closed for about 6 months. There appear to be no requirements for Fido Club board to address membership requests within a certain time period. Membership is based on amorphous requirements that appear to be difficult to duplicate if the Fido Club president is unable to perform her duties. I have not seen how a Fido Club board member is trained or is otherwise qualified to determine if a dog should be on the public beach without a leash. What happens if a board member admits or fails to revoke membership for a dangerous dog? Are the city and the Fido Club board members liable under the South Carolina Tort Claims Act? How does the city ensure the Fido Club provides timely equal privileges to public accommodations as required by Folly Beach Code of Ordinances, Chapter 96? And what are the club's and the city's liability if they do not? After learning all of this, I did a bit of research. As a result, I would like to discuss possible options for off-leash beach privileges that would be based on determinations by independent, nationally recognized organizations. One is a National Registry for Therapy Dogs, such as Alliance of Therapy Dogs, or ATD. Most handlers and dogs admitted by our local pet therapy organization, STAR, in Charleston are registered with ATD. The requirements for the ATD are in your packet, so you can see how specific and thorough they are and the quality of the dog training with that. In fact, if you take a dog under ATD into a hospital or other medical facility, they are insuring you and your dog, you for your dog's behavior. Another possible option are the American Kennel Club behavioral titles, which are described in exhibits 8 through 11. All of the AKC tests are given by AKC qualified examiners for a nominal fee, and all dogs, purebred or mutt, may qualify. Given these types of ways to determine the behavior and qualification of the dog and the dog's handler, I thought perhaps it might be helpful for our community if the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances, section 9508B, were modified. I've replicated this section in the handout and have added an underlined red font suggested revisions. These revisions are to allow dogs to be off leash on the beach if they are in good standing with the National Registry for Therapy Dogs, or they hold the AKC titles of Canine Good Citizen, Community Canine, or Urban Canine Good Citizen. This would be my only modification. This modification does not suggest that the number of dogs allowed to be off leash on our beach be increased. In fact, if this was the only way for off-leash dogs to be on the beach, it would probably be fewer dogs. So, for example, the AKC.
So you run out of time.
Okay.
So your ask is.
Huh?
Your ask is to modify.
My ask is, yeah, I'm almost done. My ask is to modify the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances as I specified, so that if a dog is on the beach, if a dog is a therapy dog, or if a dog holds one of these 3 titles by the AKC, they be allowed to be on the beach without regard to the Fighter Club. These requirements are much more stringent. They're done by independent folks who are trained to make these determinations. Right. And my other ask is, I'd like for my dog to be on the beach. My dog she holds the titles.
Well, you use up the time now, I'm sorry.
Well, I've got 2 sentences. My dog holds the title of, she's registered with the Alliance of Therapy Dogs, and we do community pet therapy with Star. And she also holds the AKC titles of Community Canine and Urban Community Canine Citizen. I've submitted this to your local Fido Club, but they don't recognize any types of behaviors like this. Okay. For me, and I imagine others as well, this is quite important. And because walking our dogs on the beach, throwing balls for them, it's a very enjoyable part of the beach community. And I know, even though I haven't been here that long, a number of people have emailed you with their concerns that are similar to mine.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for your time, and I would like to know what my next steps can be with you, and if you have any questions about this.
Well, your next steps is just to hang on, because this would have to be looked at, brought up. It won't be brought up until March or April, if it's brought up then. I'll have to look at it. I'll have to talk with Mr. Wilson, and we'll come up with some ideas, and we'll talk to City Council and see where they want to go from there.
And how does the citizen have an amendment to an ordinance raised for your general elections, which I understand you're having elections in the spring?
Raise ordinance, you what now?
Like my proposal to amend this ordinance, is this something that I can bring forth as a citizen?
No.
For elections?
You can't put it on the ballot.
So it has to go through the city council?
Yes, ma'am.
If any of you would like to meet with me or have any questions about this, or with any of the people who have already emailed you, please let me know. And I provided quite a number of exhibits, so you have some substance behind what I'm talking about.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Citizen comments.
I'll make it brief.
You need your name and address.
I'm Rick Connie. I'm the house next door on 1737 East Ashley. And have 2 dogs that I never let off leash, but I think it's very important that the city council look at that and make sure that people that have dogs that qualify under the conditions that she's recommending be put in place. Because there's a lot of dogs that are off leash that who knows why they're off leash, and I don't think it's right for some organization to have the right to make that decision. Thank you.
Next. Hank, did you want to say something?
Yes, thank you.
You look like you want to get outside.
This dog thing is exciting. Hank Weed, Chico Fez, 122 East Ashley. I've emailed you guys, it looks like it kind of lined up with Amendment 2 of the zoning plan. As you can tell, I'd like to extend it, or keep the DC, extend it out towards Burks. And, I obviously agree with what you guys are doing, wanting to bring the downtown commercial in along the Center Street corridor. I guess my view is East Ashley has become kind of this business corridor in its own way. There's 14 businesses on the road. Majority are on the north side. To what you were saying, Mayor, why not bring it on the south side? You know, this is existing already. There wouldn't be a change to bring them to DC. They're already on commercial. What Adam said about not being able to build 2 stories higher, I think that will stop any kind of wiki type things going on there as well. And I think there's a sidewalk coming at some point down, so I think that would really actually make that quite a nice little boulevard coming down towards Birch, really bring a whole downtown feel to that area, with Chico Fay's being the cornerstone, of course. That's my 2 cents.
That's right. That's half about in where you are.
Sorry, yeah.
That's half of about in right where you are.
Sure. And obviously Birch has been there forever, and I feel like I've been there forever. So that's just my 2 cents, and just the ability of the community to come talk. So I know Harry Erickson's interested in my roof and all, so appreciate you guys listening.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Harry.
Hi, I'm Lisa Herbert, one of the owners of 114 East Ashley. Again, kind of talking about what he's talking about with the East Ashley. Obviously, we're in that corridor, and these changes obviously severely affect what we can or can't do with our property on that street. And I do feel like that needs to be looked at. Some of the things that are being taken away from us versus being allowed for us to do are almost a little bit comical, honestly, to me, and I don't think a lot of people up and down the street realize what some of the things are going to be taken away. For example, we were in the process of getting ready to build another house for my father and I, because my brother lives in our front house, and that was going to be limited. I know that there's one of the alternatives was going to be to allow that, because I know we've come to a lot of the different meetings and been a part of this, but it's kind of comical to me that we could have a group daycare home or a family daycare home. That's not really, in my mind, something that's really commercial that y'all are looking at, but that would be allowed for us to do there, versus us being able to have a single family home that's not rented, that's not short-term rental, you know, that we're going to live in, and my children are going to be able to come to and be in our family forever. So I just ask y'all again to really look at and realize the consequences of what it's doing to the people on our street. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. We'll move on to commission board reports. Ms. Early.
Okay, so I got 2 for you. Planning Commission end of year report. Planning Commission did public hearings for 10 different ordinances on a lot of different topics. One being the max height requirement, increasing the freeboard. Also recently the tree ordinance, updated the comp plan, got a new resilience element in there. Also got plat approval for the land donation at Shadow Race. Very excited about that. And then Design Review Board, which just reviews projects in the commercial district. We reviewed 13 projects, with some of the biggest being 87 Center Street, Hotel Folly, by the boat landing, and then 112 East Huron and 108 East Hudson, over by the post office. So they reviewed all those among some other things, but those are some highlights for the end of the year for those 2 boards. I'll turn over to
Any
Ms.
questions?
Folly.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Community promotions. I think y'all have an updated sheet in front of you too.
Yes, I am here for the community promotions report and the Park and Rec for 2021. I've had time to review that. Have any questions?
Anything you want to point out?
Just Parks and Rec stays busy. We've had some good accomplishments. As you can see, recreation is going well. The Bark Park fence, everyone's real happy with the Bark Park fence upgrade. That court reserve app for our courts has been one of additions for, in 2021, helping me manage that. Parks and Rec and CPC, we had more activity this year than we did the year before COVID. We get to support the civic club significantly, and the senior citizens. So that's a nice perk.
And so we're covering, the TV, the CPC, which you've done a great job with. I mean, honestly, as far as in my other role, as the president of the Civic Club, very responsive to documentation, and much appreciated. Also, your, contributions all year to the, because there's a ending sort of transition on the, Park and Rec Board. And, as the liaison to the Park and Rec Board, from the council, I do want to recognize all that was accomplished, because that list is pretty extensive, whether it be programmatic or service or actual structures, adding, certain things that the citizens benefit from in the green space, in the parks. I mean, it is such a gift to have what we have and maintain that, and then to add to, you can see where I'm partial, I started and to add extra space, which was noted, the donation is remarkable. So I just wanted to recognize that leadership that it took and commitment. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have no old business today. We'll move on to new business. Oh, you are?
This is what we postponed
Well, we
from.
didn't have you listed, speaking again.
No one's even listed. It's just gonna be out there. So actually in the Parks and Rec October meeting, Parks and Rec Committee, motion to ask council for, authorization for staff to look at those 4 items. So privacy, noise, windscreen for the fence in between the tennis and basketball courts that would match the existing screen, that surrounds the courts. They just want some more division there.
Didn't they do that?
There's not a screen there right now.
Well, they're putting up new screens around, that's why I was wondering.
Yeah, and then they want one in the middle.
Oh, they didn't put
between
one
the
in the
two.
middle, okay.
So they're asking for that. 2 mobile, durable, lightweight benches, for the tennis and basketball courts. So, they would stay within the enclosures, but be able to move, so they're not in the way for any activities, could move to, shade. That kind of rolls into number 3. So they want some sunscreens, some like shade screening, to provide shade because it gets pretty sunny. And then all items would be purchased within the current budget. And then also looking at restriping the pickleball courts on the full basketball court. Right now it is directly in the middle of the court. The members were wondering if it could just be moved to a half court. So 3 pickleball games could be going on and a half basketball. Right now you can't play any basketball if there's just 1 pickleball game going on that side.
They just take them away and they play 2 basketball games.
Also an option there.
So for your request, y'all need to get back with, Mr. Lutz and get some dollars and figures and.
Yeah, so they wanted to get some, approval from council to be able to spend that money to not exceed.
We can't approve to spend it until we know what it is.
Right,
But they're not asking for any extra money, they're working within the same.
work within, have staff spend their time to research all of that and give.
I think Mr. Lutz had the report that, he's looking at a different way to attach the windscreen.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't blow off, putting that in.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, they need to get with Eric, get the dollars to go with this, and then we can come back with a resolution to spend the dollars out of there.
Okay.
Just make sure the awning is wind resistant as well as the screens.
The only other thing that, okay, and I agree with, it goes with staff, but the only thing being that pickleball question, because we really did debate a few years ago, the tennis, the pickleball, the lines. So when staff looks at it, you know, that's just my question.
Well, when he looks at it, he'll come back and say, if you wanna spend the money, this is what it'll take to do it.
Yeah, I know,
And if the council says, you wanna leave it alone, then you don't spend the money to do it.
I'm
That's
clear.
what happens.
Yeah, I'm clear.
But he's gotta come back to see the maintenance budget. He's gotta come back and say, this is what each of these will cost. Thanks. Sorry we left your name off.
Oh, that's
I would
fine.
have skipped over for none of this.
That's all right.
All right, so now we're gonna move on to new business. Ordinance, 001-22, hard to believe it's 22 already. An ordinance enacting the recommendations of the mayor's advisory committee for the use of the community center in Folly River Park by amending the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances, sections 11.04, 153.04, 153.06, 153.07, 153.08, and 153.10. This is the first reading. We talked about this ad nauseum for a while and went through it, and everybody agreed to it, but then we never did put it in an ordinance form. So now I'm coming back with ordinance form about 3 months later that we realized we didn't do it. So that's kind of where we are. So I have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Mr. Hope.
Mr. Farley? Yes. Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Groom?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yeah. Okay. So City of Folly Beach, ordinance 002-22. Ordinance amending section 16805, non-conforming signs to allow non-conforming off-premise signs at the marsh older than 25 years to remain subject to all non-conforming regulations. First reading, have a motion for approval.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion to remand the planning.
So moved.
Give a second.
Second.
To the motion to remand the planning.
Dr. Houghton? Yes. Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Groom?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Barker?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes. Yes, a zoning ordinance remanding the planning, so it is pending from this point forward. Ordinance 003-22, ordinance amending chapter 164, section 16403-03, commercial uses to require a restroom and trash receptacle for lots with outdoor retailers. Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Have a motion to remand the planning.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
For the planning question.
Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Groom?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes. Again, this is a motion zoning ordinance amended the planning, so it is a pending ordinance. Let's see, I need to slow down here and take about 30 more minutes, but the resolution 02-22, resolution by Folly Beach City Council authorizing the creation of a reimbursement grant program for the replacement of palmetto trees funded with $10,000 from the Tree Preservation Fund. Have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Or a second?
Second.
This was brought to me by Mr. Farley. I told him it was crazy, but after we talked about it a while, I think we come to a great understanding here, so Phil, you want to speak to it?
Well, this idea, I think, was originally maybe Mr. Groom's, but we
Okay.
talked about it one time, and I went to the mayor about it. I think everybody, we missed the trees that were cut down by Dominion. We understand why it was done, but this gives our citizens an opportunity to replace some of those trees and have the city share in the cost of replacing those trees in a more responsible area. And
You know, figure a palmetto tree probably costs about $300. This would allow us to give $100, about a third of that, and we share in that cost and replant these trees to keep our tropical outlook. And it uses the tree fund, which is a standing fund that we've had, and I don't know that if we've ever used it or we've used very little of it, but it seems an appropriate use of those funds. It limits the cost to $10,000. It's not an ongoing program where we have to hire somebody to manage the program. The trees have to be in the ground, and you have to file for this grant before May 1st. So it should get trees in the ground pretty quickly, and it helps our citizens restore the tropical look. So.
But it also says the replacement trees must be sable palmettos at least 8 feet tall.
That's correct.
So I just want people to know that.
Yeah. And you had to have lost a tree on your lot or in the right of way of your lot. So we're not paying for somebody's landscaping on a new house they just built. So you have to have a qualified house. You have to be a qualified person. It's limited to 2 trees per person. So if you have multiple lots and you lost multiple trees, the most you can get is the $200 for the 2 trees. Mr. Grimm's, anything?
Well, I have to say, I know that Spencer has got some money as well. It, I think it's $5,000 within her abilities. So there's some money there. I think we could combine with it, and then.
Yeah, but her money is not just for Folly Beach.
I know it's for the region, but still, but it's there. I mean, and we're part of the region. And again, I'd love to be able to look to Dominion and see if they'd like to, contribute anything, if that's a possibility. Just to send a flag up to them, ask them. So.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Okay, how shall I say this? Okay, I've done a little research, which is probably not a great thing. So, one of the questions I have is, and I support this in principle. That's the first thing I'd like to say, because I was a little hesitant of staff time, and so I've processed it. But why wouldn't do we have to say, my first question is, palmetto? And why wouldn't we reinforce like the South Carolina Forestry Commission language and let the homeowners within those guidelines promote that? So I don't know if that's a Katie question or Aaron. Again, I'm just preliminary research as far as versus a palmetto tree. So it's more along the lines of South Carolina Forestry Commission and stay within those boundaries.
Well, the idea was, as originally projected, was if you lost a palmetto tree, because that's what everybody was so upset about, that you could replace that palmetto tree on your property, not where to be in the power line.
Right.
And if you get $100 per tree that you prove that you bought and had placed. One time we talked about it, I don't remember, it's not in here, you had to have irrigation to it, but to keep the tree alive, you don't have to irrigate it. But anyway, that's why the palmetto tree, because it's a palmetto tree to replace a palmetto tree.
And also because the palmetto tree presents one of the few opportunities where you lose an adult specimen and you can replace it immediately with an adult specimen.
Okay, so I understand. So it's palmetto to palmetto. That's it. Okay, so it's not within sort of the larger scope. Okay, purposefully. All right, got it. That's why I said a little research,
Anybody else? Mr. President.
Dr. Hudson.
Yes.
Ms. Gray.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Mr. Groves.
Yes.
Mr. Farley.
Yes.
Mayor Goodman.
Yes. And, Councilman Foley and Councilman Groves, it's not the first time I said an idea was crazy. It worked out to be a wonderful idea, so. I mean, just look at the flip-flop drive. I almost got a divorce over that one. That sounded crazy, but it turned out to be good. All right, so we'll start with Mr. Barker. Any comments?
No comments, and in hopes of getting out of here in record time.
Any comments?
Just, I'm pushing PM camp, all right? Civic Club, PM camp around the corner, March. That's in my other role, and it's just nice to be here for a new year. It's a pleasure.
March,
Mr. Foley.
March 8th is the next blood drive. I'll have more on it in February and remind everybody.
Yeah, and they were advertising on the TV the other day. They're very, very short.
That's all.
I have a few things tonight. I might ruin the record we're going for quick meetings, but try to talk fast.
That's okay.
First of all, I am not running for re-election. Put that out there. These past 4 years have been tremendous in so many ways. I will certainly miss my interactions with staff, council, mayor, as well as serving the citizens of Folly Beach. But more on my gratitude to each of all of y'all, that's later. We still have work to be done. So with that said, I also have an announcement for a new planning commission appointee. Her name is Jamie Mitchum. She and her family moved from James Island to Folly Beach 5 years ago. She's a CPA and works at the Charleston School of Law as the director of accounting. I've known her for quite a while, as our mothers worked together for many years, and we kind of got reacquainted, ran into each other at the post office, and I was like, so it was wonderful. I think she's going to be a great addition to Planning Commission, as well as an addition to our involved community. And finally, Dr. Houghton kind of touched on it, Band Camp 2022 is coming up. And so save the date for Saturday, March 19th. Find your long johns, because it will definitely be cold and windy.
Oh, you stole my comment.
but it's perfect.
It is. It's a ball. Don't worry about it.
We're still working out a lot of the details. There's a lot of things to consider. The nature of what's happening in the world being one of them, and so there'll be more details in the February Sam's Fund.
Mr. Green.
If anybody knew, yesterday was National Law Enforcement Day. So at this moment, I'd like to thank Chief and Deputy Chief and all of our LEOs for what they do, putting their lives on the line every day, and having to, enforce the laws that we implement here on this wonderful, wonderful island. So with that, I thank you, and thank you every day for what you guys do. Also, February 15th is, I'll speak for DJ here. The Exchange Club is hosting a golf tournament. We've already gotten, I think, 20 foursomes. There's room for about 30, so if you plan on playing, or if you want to sponsor this, it's a wonderful event. It's done at the Muni, scheduled for February 15th. Just contact DJ, and he'll line you up. So there you have it.
Okay, so I would just like once again to thank Mac. He went home, I'm sure, to get ready for school tomorrow. He is the first of hopefully a long line of young citizens that will be here to lead the Pledge of Allegiance, or lead the Pledge of Allegiance and maybe do an invocation. We certainly have an opportunity for them to do both. If they really want to know how things are going, we'll bring them in here and put them to work with some of the staff members to really show them how tough things can be some days. With that, have a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
Thank you very much.
Always looking for interns. Always looking for interns.
It's nice to see the young ones interested.
Yeah,